Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of the IGL series I have started. If you didn't catch the previous video, that is how to get a team together, and I'll put the link down in the description for you guys. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to practice maps. Excuse me, this is a very big sort of step for teams, even semi-good teams like MG1 to DMG to LE per se. They don't really know how to practice maps, so there are a few separate ways that you can do this, but it's not really talked about. So there's going to be 5 different steps for this. I'm going to go through all of them, and then you guys can sort of run with whatever you agree with, and then just sort of discard whatever you don't agree with. So the very first thing is more for the IGLs of your team. If you are an IGL, then this is something that you need to do very often. It's something that I do regularly, probably like 3 or 4 times a week, and that is establish strats. So in order to do this, you can open up a notepad or get a notebook to write them in, but you need to have some sort of way to figure out strats for you and your team. So if this means, you know, just looking at a YouTube video and copying the same exact strat that maybe a pro team has, do that if that works for you. But you need to have a specific way to run on maps, and if you don't have that, then you're not going to have the advantage that most good teams are going to have. So for example, I'll give you a very simple strat on Mirage here. It's going to be for T side, and it's going to be an A hit. So usually what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have 4 smokes, 3 or 4 smokes. You're going to need one for CT, you're going to need one for stairs, and you're going to need one for jungle. You can have an optional molly to get under dark, and I'll show you how to execute all of those. So the very first one is a stair smoke. It's pretty easy. You just come to this little pillar, you aim up, and you left click throw. Now that is going to aim and land right here on top of steps. So it's pretty simple. Sorry about that. Okay. And then the second one is going to be a CT smoke. There's many different ways to throw this. You can look up a video on how to throw them. But basically, if you just come to the center of this pillar, you aim right here and you jump throw, that's going to land in front of CT. These both are very simple smokes. It does take a little bit of practice, but obviously that's what team practice is for. So like in the first video, if you set up a schedule and all that, you guys should have that handled. And then the last but not least, the jungle smoke, which sometimes is a bit difficult to throw. So you just aim right there and throw it. So that's your jungle smoke. Now, that by itself can be a strat. You know, you have 3 smokes already set, you're set to go, just go into sight. Maybe with a few flashes over, but you get the basic idea. You need some sort of strategic plan in order to win your games. So yeah, the second point of this video is going to be sort of a given. You're going to need all your players in order to run practice. This will make it a lot easier for you guys to progress as a team and get a little bit more of team chemistry. And I will have a separate video on how to do team chemistry, but having all your players ensures that everyone knows what they're doing. If you have like 2 or 3 players show up to one of your practices, there's going to be those 2 other players that don't know what they're doing. So, with that being out of the way, the third thing is just to run your strats over and over again. If you take one whole practice session just to go over smokes and flashes, do it. If that's what works, do it. But it will take time for you guys to understand how the strats work and how to accomplish them. So On to the fourth sort of point. Open yourself to criticism. Now, obviously, after you practice and you run them, either whether you're doing it in MM or if you're running all of your strats in like a SIVO match or a Face It tournament, all of these are great ways to practice your strats that you and your team have come up with and gone over. But you need to be able to open yourself to criticism, and if the strat does not work in a particular round, if you're in a game, that does not mean that you did anything wrong. There are certain times where you do the strat perfectly and you still get pooped on, and that's just how the game works. It's gonna take a little bit of time for you and your team to be comfortable in like a match environment and be comfortable playing against other teams. I know it still kind of gets me whenever I play in a match. It's a big deal. Your nerves are going, your adrenaline's pumping a little bit. You know, you get into that 1v2, 1v1 situation, and you just have to rely on your instincts. But yeah. And the last point is sort of what I just went over. Use your strats and scrims. Now, there are honestly 100 strats. I know for this map in particular, I have about 4 different strats that can go on in any given round, like a rifle round per se. You know, you could hit A, you could hit B, you could go mid to A, mid to B. You know, you have your specific players, like your lurk player. He's going to be doing a different strat than what you're going to be doing most likely. And you have to lay all of that out for your players to understand. Your strats and scrims, if you do not set them up properly, they can go very bad or very good by luck. Say you're doing an A take, you get 1 pick. Your whole team rotates to A on T side, okay? So say you're opping like Palace or something, since I have an op. Say you're opping Palace, you get to pick stairs, okay? You guys are going to have to work off that pick, which means you're going to have to flash yourselves out. If you don't fuck up a flash like that, you're going to have to flash yourselves out and you're going to have to run with it. Now, say 2 people are late because they're rotating from mid. They had the bomb. Say 3 people run into site. All 3 of them die. Then your 2 teammates are stuck in ramp. They're going to have to either commit to the site, which is most likely going to have stacked players, or they're going to have to rotate. This is something that you as an IGL and you as a team need to be able to adapt to. If you cannot do this, then you're most likely going to lose the round. So let's run with this strat. So you have 2 players in T-ramp. Okay, they're going to have to run either to mid or into B. Now, suspecting that they have full nades, they're going to have to set up, which will take time, and they're going to have to execute, which will take even more time. So, if they get this right, they should be able to execute within about 15 to 25 seconds of rotating. Now, this is a bit more time than what is probably necessary, but starting out, you will get used to it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. When practicing maps, you guys are going to get frustrated while throwing nades, etc. For example, the nade that probably makes me mad the most on this map would have to be, let me think, it'd have to be the mid smoke. I still, to this day, have no idea how to smoke mid from T-spawn. There's a few ways, but most of them are really hard, and they're kind of hard to achieve. So, there's this one. You know, you could run through it. But that's not 100% all the time. See, I messed it up. And then there's also one right, let me see here. That's also pretty hard. You know, you aim right there, and you jump throw. But they are gonna make you very frustrated, and you have to have the patience to be able to do them with your team. If you get frustrated during a practice and you're like, you know what, screw this, I'm gonna do something else, you still need to be practicing with your team. But if you do not want to do that smoky, you need to know it, which means you're gonna have to do it on your own, which means you won't have a lot of help. So that's sort of one of the other things. And yeah, I hope this sort of helped you guys, and if it did, let me know in the comments down below, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you.